Hello everyone, and welcome to another Singerreise video podcast. My name is Jonathan Silvia, and I'm your host. Thanks for joining us. In this video, we have number 6 of the Winterreise cycle, Wasserflut, which of course means floodwater. There's a lot of snow and ice and melting going on, kind of like what's happening right outside my window here. This is a rarity in the Pacific Northwest. There is a little less freezing going on this time around, so that's kind of nice. Here's a little bit of the story thus far. In the previous pieces, our wanderer has already had a few bone-chilling episodes where his tears have either frozen or they've gotten a little bottled up inside. We then take a short break and remember a linden tree, where it brings back a lot of comforting memories. I think it's the tree that kind of triggers the response that we see in Wasserflut. It's like when you're really wanting to cry and have them all welled up inside of you, and then there's this one trigger event, and then all of a sudden the waterworks really start to flow. I think that's kind of what is going on at the start of this piece. So let's take a look at the text. The text starts off with the line "Manche Tränen," which is shorthand for "Manche Tränen." And that means, of course, many tears. Tears, again, are going to play a pretty major part in this piece. The word itself shows up 3 times. At the beginning, we have the tears falling and hitting the snow and melting into the snow. The wanderer's mind then starts to wander about the springtime, wondering what happens when the snow will melt. He then addresses the snow directly and asks where it intends to go. If it follows his tears, he says the snow and tears combined will form a little brooklet that will wander into town and then through the various streets, and eventually it will go past his former lover's house. He tells the snow that it will know that it's arrived there because the snow will feel his tears burning inside it. For me, the text is a little bit too indulgent for my taste. It's a little too heavy-handed with the forced imagery and the hyperbole. So I'll just isolate one of the words that kind of stood out to me as I was looking at the text. That word is Schnee, or snow. Here again, we take a look at all of the different forms that snow can take. We see the cold flakes, we see it as ice breaking apart, we see it melting and forming rivers. I also like that the wanderer seems to give the snow a little bit of personhood. We personify the snow. He asks the snow a direct question, asking about its intentions on where it wants to go, as if the snow had a mind of its own. He also seems to say in the last line that the snow is going to be able to feel his hot tears, as if the snow could feel things. It's the same treatment that we gave the linden tree in the previous piece, and it's often a common device in the early Romantic era to take these elements of nature and to give them a little bit of personality. The musical setting evoked a couple of different images for me. One of those images was that of a dirge. There's this dotted rhythm in the accompaniment that's moving very, very slowly. I kind of imagined it was the tears on a funeral procession walking through the streets of the town. There's even this triplet pattern in the vocal accompaniment, and to me that sounded like an accompanying wail to the procession on the street. This piece also reminded me of another piece that Schubert wrote called Serenade. That piece is also in minor and also has some really slow triplets going all the way through the vocal line. So I kind of imagined that instead of trying to coax a window to come down from her window balcony, I imagined that the wanderer was addressing the snow, trying to coax and bid the snow to carry his tears down the street to his lover's house. Well, it kind of works anyway. I was talking with my wife about this piece, and she kind of dropped a little bit of a bombshell on my 2 interpretations that I had going thus far. Being the well-learned pianist that she is, she mentioned that some composers, including Schubert apparently, used a dotted 8th note 16th note as a substitute or a shorthand for a quarter note 8th note triplet. This seems to be a holdover from the Baroque era when they were still trying to figure out how to notate music. It seems that even Schubert, being an early Romantic composer, he seems to have picked up this habit along the way. You can't tell that this is going on simply by looking at our modern vocal scores. Instead, you have to go to a well-informed recording of the piece, one where somebody has looked into the historical context and has done a little bit of research on the usual performance practices. You also can tell by taking a look at the composer's autograph. Here, autograph means the piece of paper that the composer himself was personally writing on with his pen while he composed. If when he was doing that, the composer lined up that 16th note with the triplet 8th note, then you know that they are supposed to be done at the same time. As a singer, I was blissfully unaware that Schubert used this technique. In fact, I was thinking of other Romantic composers, albeit later ones like Fauré, who would very intentionally do a triplet pattern against a dotted rhythm for a particular effect. One instance for the holiday season is O Holy Night, especially the French version Minuit Chrétien. There you have the dotted rhythm in the voice part and the triplet in the piano part, and they're not meant to be done together. When I do it together, however, that changes my interpretation of the piece. I no longer can use that funeral dirge image that I was using before. Instead, having the vocal line and the piano accompaniment going together, it's more that the piano is supporting the singer and is being empathetic with it instead of working against it. So all throughout the piece, it feels a little bit more like a sobbing all the way throughout, rather than just at certain times. There is still a wail figure that I wanted from beforehand, but that wail figure now is the forte repeated text that happens at the end of each stanza. So yet again, having a good historical context of the composition of the piece changes the interpretation just a little bit. Don't you just love when that happens? I hope you enjoyed this performance of Wasserflut. And of course, if you want to find out more about Winterreise or the life of a working opera singer, check out Singerreise.com, the official website. You can also join us on Facebook.com/Singerreise, and there like the page and offer a few comments. Or you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. Anyway, enjoy the performance.
Spring